Colossians 2:11 and 12 goes on in our thoughts to say, in whom you also are circumcised, with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ, buried with him in baptism, wherein also ye are risen with him through the faith of the operation of God, who is raising from the dead. A reference here to the fact that these Judaizers were trying to get these folks back under a law system. And Paul's saying, look, guys, that old system wasn't enough. It wasn't sufficient. That's why Christ had to come. His perfect sacrifice is eternal, but it's also internal. In Jeremiah 31:33, it was predicted, this will be the covenant I'll make in those days. I'll put my law in their inner parts, and I'll write it on their hearts, and I'll be their God, and they shall be my people. More on the thought of how deep the sacrifice is in our behalf later. More on the in him benefits. Romans 6 really explains this quite well. Don't you know that as many of us as were baptized into Jesus Christ were baptized into his death? We are buried with him by baptism into death, and Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of Father, so we also should walk in newness of life. For if we've been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection, knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is free from sin. If we be dead with Christ, we will live with him. You get that? It's an internal change. We're born again to a new life, and we get eternal life thrown in. London businessman Lindsay Clegg told the story of a warehouse property he was selling, and the building had been broken into. It had been empty for a long time. The windows were smashed, and trash was strewn all over the place. We showed this to a prospective buyer of the property, and of course he took pains to say, look, I'm going to fix all these broken windows, and I'll bring in a crew to fix anything structurally and clean out the garbage. The guy said, forget about the repairs. When I buy this place, I'm going to tear it down and build something completely different. I don't want the building. I want the site. Well, compared with a renovation that God has in mind, our efforts to improve our own lives are like sweeping out a warehouse that's going to be coming to the wrecking ball. When we become God's, our old life is over. 2 Corinthians 5:17. He makes everything new. All he wants is the site and the permission to build. You ponder that. Pastor Steve.